Greetings, everyone.
You can finally join me in hell
for another Hardware Phonk episode. Whatever. I think that was the title. We're gonna do another video of people, shit people ask me to show. People keep saying, how do you do this? It's easier to make a video, I guess, than to answer all those DMs. So that's what oh, what's this? This is just Diet Coke. It's not yerba. But hold on.
She put the lime in the Coke and now she drank 'em full.
Alright. So I get a lot of requests now because people have these things like the Boss DR660 and the DR5, but regular producers probably still want to use their computer to some extent. Whether it's recording individual drum sounds into the computer and building sample packs, or whether it's just syncing up the machines with a computer to use that as the recorder. So I'm going to show you how I use the DAW or whatever, digital audio
work center
to do the shit, you know, to make the beats. Back in 2019, I think, I was still working with basically just a MIDI keyboard and a computer. And the reason I don't show stuff on my computer ever is because it's old as fuck. I mean, it's from like 2009 probably. Somehow it still runs FL11, so I'm not really using a current version, but if I'm recording a song, it's always in FL. So that might cut out the usefulness of some of this information. I know a lot of people use Ableton throughout the years. People give me shit for not using Ableton. And you know what? Fuck Ableton.
Fuck a bitch, mother.
A lot of people prefer Ableton. Not me. Some of the stuff might be similar, and some of the stuff is definitely similar if you're using something like Pro Tools. A lot of this stuff could still be useful. Like a dance music oriented program is probably going to be best. So to paraphrase one of the greats, Jack Scalafani, let's come in close. We'll show you how it's done, okay? Okay, if you want some idea of how old this fucking thing is, how criminally old, there's no way for me to get this image on a screen share kind of situation. It runs off of the old, like, I don't know, 20 pin, whatever it is, connector. So yeah, this is how we're doing it. Probably take some screen caps so some stuff is more clear. But anyways, the first thing that you need to know if you're using FL, and probably no matter what you're using, is you have to have some way to get MIDI information into your computer and back out of it too in some cases. I've got down here that is an audio interface that's got USB connection, but it also on the back of it has MIDI. I don't know, I can't get the fucking thing in there. MIDI in and out. And that is actually not what I use for MIDI. That's just what I use to record audio, because that is the other thing you will need, probably, is a way to get audio into your digital audio workstation, work center, work area. Those two XLR cables run to a mixing board, which is an old Mackie board that I've had fucking since, like, I've had this shit so long that it's like classic gear now. So I got a lot of stuff just kind of that I leave wired into there. But the two XLRs are coming out of here into there, and so that's a way for me to get either a lot of tracks at once, or so I can just switch between stuff easily, add from one synth, add from another real quick, and not have to swap out cables. You don't need even nearly this many tracks. If you have one of these things, these 2-track guys, that's really all you need, because you can see it's also got the 1/4-inch line in, and so that's what you would take out of your Dr. Rhythm, is kind of what we're going to base this off of. Dr. Rhythm, DR5, DR660. If you really, you know, you don't have one of these, there's workarounds. Most computers will have the 1/8-inch line in. Maybe you want to do that. Maybe, I don't know what you want to do. I've always kind of felt that the line in, the 1/8-inch in on a computer, kind of sounds not so good. So you'll need some type of a MIDI device, either a keyboard, or I have an Akai MPD as well. Something like that. If you want to be able to edit your piano roll, do automation with the computer on the notes before you record them, you'll need a MIDI keyboard or, the pad thing, whatever. If you don't have like an audio interface, like a USB plug-and-play one, you'll need some way to get USB to MIDI. This is the microKORG, and I just basically use this as a MIDI keyboard unless I'm using the sounds from it. And if you see back here, it's got in and the out plugged in, and those are going into the out and in on this Akai back here. But it's just the classic Akai drum machine sampler kind of look, just really simplified. It's got big plastic knobs. I got it for like $60. They're very cheap. The screen's dead on it, but so this is the start of my MIDI chain here. And I made full albums using nothing but that thing. So it's pretty sick. It's good for automating too. If I record in FL and I want to automate effects, it's got knobs that are really good for that. It's got faders. This has a USB connection. It's only got USB power, I think, so it's being powered by the computer, and then it's got the MIDI in and out. And those are, so this is like the master MIDI controller, master MIDI clock. This is where the tempo from FL goes to the machines, how all of the digital data gets recorded. That runs into the microKORG, and the microKORG has a red cable going into the MIDI through. So the master clock from FL being sent to the Akai goes through the MIDI keyboard here, so then it goes through the microKORG into whatever else I want it to. And this is how you transfer the data to your DR660 or, whatever machine you're using. There's a couple ways that you can sync up your machines to FL. This is the most versatile way, I would say, is to add a new track, add a new channel. They got all stupid names for everything. And you want to add MIDI out, which you can't see at all. But now we've got this MIDI out. It's got presets. This is an easy way to set it up for some common MIDI controllers. Some of these maybe help you out as well. The one I use is microKORG because that is an option. And so that syncs up with the microKORG with I've got the control of the pitch wheel and the knobs and stuff like that. It knows what to expect. I have to set up the MIDI on the keyboard. It's got a bunch of knobs for stuff. The bottom knob, if you can see all the way to the right, it's MIDI. You got to set the channel to 16. That's the first one. And that's just what it does. 16 is the highest MIDI channel you can use. And for some reason, that's just what the microKORG setting in FL defaults to, so I just go with it. I set the clock to external. That is this third knob. See, it's set to external. So that means that FL is controlling the tempo, if the tempo and anything like that on this machine too. I switch the second knob here, which is actually broken, so I have to kind of tweak this one to get it to change. And I'm not going to do that again. I already did it. It just sets the MIDI local from on to off. The MPD is also has an FL setting, which makes it communicate with FL. And setting those things up was a pain in the ass. I don't want to fucking think about how I even did that. I don't remember. Don't want to think about having to do it again. It's probably not as bad as I remember, but I don't have any insight into that process. Basically, you just have to choose the MIDI in and out in your DAW setup, and choose the master MIDI clock, and I don't know. There's other videos on it where people can explain it much better than I could ever hope to. So watch those. Now we can use that MIDI out channel. We should be able to hear it if we play the keyboard here. So let's use the DR660, since that's probably what a lot of people are going to be wondering about. You got to go into the MIDI settings on here as well. And once you arrow over past the sure thing, the first option you get is the channel. And mine's already set to 16 because I was using this with FL pretty recently. And that's pretty much all you got to do. Pick your drum kit. Sounds like I was making some drift music, probably. Alright, so we got the drum sounds on there. It's live on the mixing board, hot as they would say. And let's make sure we can get the sounds on here once we are clicked on the MIDI out microKORG channel on there. They're kind of just spread weirdly throughout the keyboard, so you just kind of got to go through, find the sounds you want, or set them to specific notes inside the DR660, which is that that first part of the MIDI menu where it's asking you about notes. I have never really messed with that because I just kind of, I don't know, set them where you want them to go on the keyboard, maybe for a little bit easier experience. I like to write drums live on the on here on the keys because it just gives more variation in the patterns. If I just kind of jam basically for like 32 bars or something and then clean it up with quantization, I think that's a good way to keep patterns interesting. So that's usually what I'm doing. That is why I like to control the DR660 this way, at least for some of the drums. It also, you can like automate like real crazy snare rushes.
Go on, give us a snare rush.
It doesn't take the pitch automation, but the volume automation basically roll into infinity on the DR660. So I use it for the kick and the snare track usually. You have to know your recording program and how to set everything up as far as what you're recording. So in FL, you gotta right click on the record button up there, and it gives you a little drop down menu for what you want to record. In this case, you want the automation and score. You don't want to record audio this time. At least that's not what I'm trying to do. You need to have it on an ASO if you're recording MIDI. An AISO, there is something called ASO for all, and that's an easy workaround if you download that little driver and install it. But you need an ASO driver because that is when you play something, once you're first plugged in, you'll notice it's like slightly off. It's slightly behind when you hit the key. And that is because I don't understand, but you need an ASO driver. So that's what I'm doing here, switching to the ASO driver. So that's what I just did. It's for me, it's the same machine. It's the little audio interface box down there. So now anything I record into the piano roll will hit because I have automation and score set. So I'm just gonna pick a tempo, write some drum sounds here. Alright, so it's a little sloppy. That's fine, because I can go in now and get rid of those bad notes and quantize everything because it all shows up in the piano rolls, the little green notes there. Quantize it to eighth notes. I have a tendency to be a little bit before the beat with any instrument I play, so I dragged them a little bit, makes it for easier quantization. And now we can go back to the regular driver and listen to it, get rid of those bad notes, and maybe flip some notes around. Alright, and the other thing I think I'm going to do is copy that snare track and put it on a different sound so I get two going at the same time. So I select all the notes that are part of that snare pattern, copy and paste. I mean, I'm sure that you probably know this part of FL if you're using FL. And go over here and adjust the volume. Okay, so what I could do at this point is record this to tape or to computer, whatever, or I could keep writing MIDI sequences with the DR for the other drums and then kind of record them as once I'm done with that. If I wanted to do that, I would have to mute each pattern. I'd have to mute whatever, all the patterns but one, go through, mute all the patterns but the next one. That's how I'd have to do that. It doesn't really matter. It's all about, your flow and how you're feeling. So I think I will just write this one to tape how it is. I'm fine with that. So we're going to go back to that ASO engine, and from the record area, we're going to switch that to say, instead of automation and score, we want to uncheck those. We're going to do audio instead. FL will tell you if you don't have a way enabled to record audio. I have to make a record track, so that's where the audio is going to come in. I just use one. Your input, you set it to left and right, the stereo, whatever stereo input you're getting. So now, since the MIDI pattern is in the FL playlist there, since it puts it there automatically, it'll play through that, and it'll record what's coming in. So that would be the DR660. And now you can see my vocal level is coming up there too. Let's record that real quick. Alright, so now it comes up down there as an audio track, and now we need to mute that MIDI track in the FL playlist, or it'll just keep playing both at the same time, which is not what you want. That can get confusing down the road. As you might be able to see, I peaked that track the fuck out. Luckily, it's a computer, so I could go back and change that if I cared, but it's fine the way it is. So you can see the MIDI track above it is muted. There, now we got our DR660 snare and kick. So I could go and write whatever else I want to do, some hi-hats, some percussion. I could do that the same way and go through and quantize them all like that. The reason, really, that I got away from producing like this is because fucking using this little guy, not the Diet Coke. Diet Coke is fine. I'm talking about this fucking mouse. Clicking, and, I had a job where I was doing that. Fucking carpal tunnel. Yeah, it's real. It's much easier to do those kind of hi-hat rolls and the fast stuff. It just takes no time to do it on the DR. So in this case, I'm going to write some patterns for the cymbals on the DR660, and then I'm going to import them to the computer. And I got to set the sync back to MIDI. I had changed it before to internal so I could write the patterns without it needing a clock to tell it to do that. We got MIDI channel 16, so it should be getting the clock from FL at this point. So there's nothing else we really need to do other than have the song selected, or the pattern, whichever one you're using. Got it selected there. Now, if we go over here and we do the same thing with recording audio, as soon as you hit play there, it should start your DR660 right up. Got the record track selected and enabled. Okay, started it recording. As you can hear, the drums are going, and since I have it chained to itself, it'll just keep going until I stop it. I'll get a decent amount, so I don't have to loop it as much. Alright, and another audio track pops up there. that is how I would probably do the hi-hats in this situation. So that's what I need for now. I mute my DR660 on the mixing board so that when I hit play, it's not still starting automatically. I guess I could turn it off, but I don't know if I want to use it again, maybe for a cowbell melody or something. All right, so there you go. 2 audio tracks. I kind of copied and pasted them, and you don't have to quantize anything since it's already done. And that is the way I feel like a lot of people will be getting the audio in there. So for me, I just realized that, see, it's a good thing. Good thing I didn't turn it off. I just realized I recorded those fucking instruments with a shit ton of reverb on them, so I'm going to re-record the kick and snare from the MIDI track real quick. So I'm going to mute the audio track and enable the MIDI track again. So that's what we need. You can do with other things the same way. You can make a bunch of pads set to the cowbell and then play yourself a nice cowbell concerto on here, some shit like that. And I can put all my crazy digital effects on them. That's about as far as we're going to take this one.